Hi everyone, I am Dr. Marta Werner and I am welcoming you to English 215, World Literature 1, or as I prefer to call it, or to subtitle it, Readings in the Visible and Invisible Worlds. This is a survey course in literary classics, and it offers you a series of readings in different genres and also from non-English speaking nations, cultures, from the ancient Greeks and Romans to the continental European literature up until, including Shakespeare. So when I teach this class, I like to give it an added emphasis, right? Not just as here are a series of literary classics, although what we are reading are literary classics, but something a little bit different. So my extended description goes like this. There is no one map of world literature. In this iteration of world literature, we shall begin with the Epic of Gilgamesh, an epic poem whose origins stretch back to the margins of prehistory, and we shall end with Shakespeare's tragedy King Lear. In between these 2 points, we will wander in the Old Testament, in Homer's Odyssey, in Euripides' tragedy The Bacchae, in the lyric poetry of Sappho, and in excerpts from Shay Shanagan's diary, The Pillow Book. World literature traces, as far as possible, the way writing travels beyond its context of origin and acquires a new life in other languages, nations, and traditions. Our journey this semester is going to take us into 2 seemingly opposed worlds. The visible world, sometimes known as the mundane or the temporal or the earthly world, and the invisible world, sometimes known as the pure, eternal, or spiritual world, and on many occasions into that very mysterious borderland between the visible and the invisible, or right at that juncture where those 2 worlds meet. In each of our stopping places, and each of our stopping places will be a text, we shall survey the territory, textual and extra-textual, in order to begin to understand the deepest roots of our own thinking, our personal epistemologies, and ultimately to articulate our own poetics of wonder. So, the required texts for this class are as follows: the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Bible, the Authorized King James Version, Homer's Odyssey, translated by Fitzgerald, the Bacchae of Euripides, translated by C.K. Williams, and Shakespeare's King Lear. There will also be on the site, you'll find links to other readings that are required for this class. This class is reading intensive in a sense, and there's also a lot of writing, but the writing is, at least 50% of it, is of what I would call the semi-formal kind. So there are 2 major assignments for the class. The first one is a weekly reading blog, and in that reading blog, you should demonstrate your engagement with the reading and the central questions about human experience posed by the reading, your ability to reflect on your own experiences and ethical beliefs through your encounters with literature from other cultures and other times, and of course your ability to write responsibly, elegantly, and generatively. The reading blogs will be due every week at the same time, Fridays at noon. And over the course of the semester, I will ask you to complete 10 of the 14 possible blogs. Each blog will be graded on a 10-point scale, but together your blog grade will comprise 50% of your average for the class. Now, the blog is not, right, and I really need to emphasize this, it is not a summary of the assigned materials. Right? Blogs that are mere summaries are not going to get anything higher than a C. To make a B or to make an A, you have to convey something of your intensity of your encounter with the text under discussion, its fundamental concerns, right, its fundamental questions, and your own willingness to reflect seriously about your encounter with that text world. How does the text clarify your own thinking? What does it make you wonder about your own life? Blogs need to be at least 300 words and not more than 600 words. So this is also an exercise in focus, right? You have to think about what you really want to say. Some possible routes for composing thoughtful reading blogs that fulfill our requirements are the following, and you can find these in the overview of assignments and grading rubrics on our Moodle site. First, keep a running blog of questions that occur to you as you're reading. Keep a list of characters and key information about each one. Choose one or more of the characters and discuss something that interested you about him or her, or discuss why the author presented the character in that particular way. Keep a list of images of all the occurrences of a particular image and speculate on why the author used these images. Write about anything that interested or moved you. You might do so by completing the blanks in the following sentence. While reading blank, I was struck by blank, or I was surprised by blank, or I was confused by blank. You might also think about the author's and especially the translator's choice of words. Choose a passage you liked or interested in, and if you're reading a translation, find at least one other translation, record it, and meditate on the differences between the renderings. Write down the work's most insistent and important questions. What is it asking, and are the questions of the work still relevant to us? Reflect on your reading experience. Study your own habits as a reader and explore how they influence your reading of the text. And think about how reading the text has altered you. The second major assignment for the class, the reading blog is ongoing, right? That's a weekly assignment you'll complete based on the readings. But the second assignment is a large assignment, and it's a creative research multimodal project. And I'll give you some details about this too. But over the course of the semester, you will encounter some texts that you respond to very fully and probably others that you don't respond to as much. You want to choose for your final project a text that really fascinated you, and not only the text itself, but the world behind the text, the world that informs that text, something that really excited you. Because in your creative multimodal project, you're going to be looking at the text world of a particular work. And this final project should demonstrate your ability to read critically and creatively, your commitment to engaged research, your willingness to grapple with some of the key questions about the human condition and to pose those questions again for yourself in your own time, and your deepening understanding of your place in history and the vast tapestry of world cultures. And finally, your ability to use the available technologies of writing and presentation to communicate your vision of that text world and your relationship to it effectively and elegantly. All the multimodal projects are going to have the following 8 elements. A thoughtful thesis about the work and world you're researching and recreating. What features of this work world have you chosen to emphasize and why? 2, right, a thoughtful list of questions. Questions about the human condition, questions about identity, questions about the relationship between self and other, or between self and world proposed by the work. 3, close readings of at least 3 significant passages pointing to key themes or questions in the work. 4, close reading of at least one character in the work. How does that character embody the values of the world in which he or she lives. 4, or actually 5, sorry, a virtual art or archaeological museum for the world, in which you select 5 cultural objects or 5 works of art for your virtual museum and talk about them. Why are they so important to this world? Why are they a reflection of this world? 6, a reflection on your encounter with the text. How has the experience of the text affected you? What do you imagine you will remember years later about this text, and why? 7, links or embedded files that encourage other readers to explore additional levels of the world of the text you're presenting. You might have links to maps, right? Links to historical timelines. Any number of things might be useful here. And finally, 8, a bibliography of between 4 and 7 critical sources used in the construction of the project. This project will constitute the other 50% of your grade. So one of the projects, or one of the assessments, right, the ongoing reading blog, is really something that you can be working on all semester. And then that final project is something that you should be working on, really start towards the middle of the semester and give it a great deal of attention and focus. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about what's on Moodle and how you can use that site to your advantage. I try to put as much as I can on our site to give you a strong introduction and orientation to the texts that we're reading. Sometimes this means a lot of material, and sometimes maybe even too much material for you to process all in one sitting, and sometimes it will be much briefer lecture materials. But it's there, right? It's there for you to take advantage of should you desire to use it. So when you go to our Moodle site, you'll see a number of things. First of all, you'll see that there is, in that very first block, a news forum. And the news forum is an important place to go often, right? Because what I do in the news forum is talk to you, right? I will announce things, give sort of a little bit of reminder for you to work on particular assignments. This kind of thing, just a kind of way of keeping up and making cohesive a class that is happening asynchronously, right, and in lots of different people's places, different rooms all around Buffalo and perhaps elsewhere. You'll also see a little space for introductions, both an introduction from me to you and also a space where you can introduce yourself to me and to your colleagues in this class. I would love it if you told us a little bit about yourselves. You'll also see a section in that opening block that just says questions about the course. And this is a place that if you have a general question about the course, the way the course is working or a particular assignment, something like that, you can pose that question there. I will look daily at those questions to make sure that everybody is being answered properly. You'll find the syllabus, the course syllabus here. You'll find a detailed overview of the assignments I just discussed with you rather briefly here. You'll also find a couple of other things that might be helpful to you. One of them is a tutorial for Moodle. If you're new to Moodle, if you're new to this platform, you might want to have a brief look at that tutorial. There's also a couple of documents on distance learning, on netiquette, right? How do we respond to each other in this form, right? In this new digital age. And you'll also find a couple of links to resources. Right? One of them is the Learning Center, a great place to go get some tutoring with writing if you are struggling with your writing or you just want another pair of eyes to look at what you're doing. And also a link to the Office of Disabilities. And anybody with a documented disability should feel very free to approach me, set up a meeting with me, and to talk about how I can best help you work through the materials of the course, what accommodations you need. The earlier you do that, the better. So please don't hesitate to come and talk to me about anything. This also brings me to the question of office hours. I haven't listed particular office hours on the syllabus, not because I don't want to see you, but simply because I know that we're all working with such different schedules. It's much more likely that you will simply set up a time to meet with me when it's convenient to you and it's convenient to me, and we'll work together to do that. Since this is a completely online class, I will also be holding my office hours online through Skype, through FaceTime, or through another medium of your choice. Please feel free to make an appointment with me at any time during the semester that you feel you need a little bit of extra help, or you just kind of want to check in and see how you're doing, or test out some questions, test out some ideas for your final project. The best way to do that is simply to email me, and I will respond to you. I always respond to my email within 24 hours. If you don't get a response, it's very likely that your message to me has gone astray, right? It might have gone into junk file or something. So please email me again. And I've given you two different addresses, both my DYC email and my personal Gmail account. So please feel free to email me in both places if you're concerned that a message isn't getting through. In an emergency, of course, you are also free to call me, telephone me, and my number is on the syllabus. I think we're going to have a great semester together. This is certainly one of my favorite classes. I think that most people, at least most people, will really respond to the texts that we're looking at. And even though they seem, and they are, right, ancient texts, they are texts that have retained their relevance for us even in our postmodern age. So I look forward to a wonderful semester with you. I look forward to an engaged semester with you. And I look forward to learning from you new ways to keep everybody engaged. This is, of course, a challenge in distance learning classes. And the one thing that I'm really fighting against here is a sense of estrangement. I would love to find new ways of connecting with you and new ways for you to feel connected both to me and to each other. So keep in mind I'm open to suggestions, and let's enjoy the work of the semester together. Thanks very much. Have a look at Moodle, and we'll be back in touch very, very soon. Take care.